This week on Angling Archaeology, we're going to look at a line of lures that has been around for almost 100 years. Or at least its namesake has. And that is none other than the Heddon Torpedo. Now you might be interested to learn that the torpedo has not always been the tiny little topwater favorite as we know it today. Stick around, we're going to learn the history of this little lure that gets big results. The torpedo was introduced in 1925, and you might be interested to know that it wasn't always the floating bass bombshell as we know it today. Heddon described the torpedo as a sinking minnow. Originally crafted from wood, the torpedo had spinners on both the front and back of the lure. As we see in this advertising from 1927, the torpedo came in two different sizes, the 3-inch, which was a ½ ounce, and the 4.5 inch, which was 3/4 ounce. The 3-inch option came with 2 treble hooks in 3 different colors, rainbow, shiner, and perch. The 4.5 inch option came with 3 treble hooks and came with white-bodied red eye, green scale, and pike. Showing here in an ad from 1929, we basically see the same assortment, except rather than just having white-bodied red eye, we see that they changed the description to white and red. Now, fast forwarding here in this 1936 and 1937 advertisements, we only see the 4.5 inch, 3/4 ounce advertised. Now, we see the torpedo relatively unchanged throughout the 1940s and up into the early 1950s. Until 1952, and here we see the introduction of the Heddon Tiny Trio, 3 downsized lures designed to be fished on spinning gear. It was at this point that we see the torpedo name move from a sinking lure to a surface lure. Shown here in this 1956 catalog, the Tiny Torpedo is mentioned as a topwater version of the original torpedo. We see it here as roughly 2.5 inches, that is 1/5 ounce, with a variety of different colors, including bullfrog, yellow perch, just to name a few. We also see one more notable difference on top of the fact that it's a topwater and a different design, is that it has 1 rear spinner rather than 2 spinners like the original sinking torpedo. Throughout its life, the topwater torpedo has come in many different sizes and colors. Shown here in the 1966 catalog, the Tiny Torpedo downsized to 1 7/8 inch and went down to 1/4 ounce. In 1969, we see the expansion of the torpedo family with the introduction of the Magnum Torpedo, which came in a length of 3 3/8 and 5/8 ounce, and the Baby Torpedo, which came in at 2.5 inches and 3/8 ounce. The great news is that you can still find a variety of topwater torpedoes today. Check out Bass Pro, Cabela's, or Amazon if you want the new stuff, or if you're like me, go out and find the vintage ones at your estate sales, your garage sales, eBay. You will not be disappointed. This little topwater is guaranteed to get those bass. All right, now that we know the history of the Tiny Torpedo, I figure the best thing to do now is take a look at the lure itself, and why not do that with the one that we all know and love the most, and that is the Tiny Torpedo. If you've fished at all for any length of time, or even if you're a new angler, chances are you've probably picked up a Tiny Torpedo at some point. This is a guaranteed fish catcher right here, the #1 topwater prop bait of all time, an absolute proven fish catcher. Now this one's in a vintage 1990 Pradco new in package box right here, and what we see, it is 1 7/8 inch, 1/4 ounce. So this is one that likely, if you fished these before, this is probably the style that you've fished. So let's take a look at some of these colors as well. And here's a frog pattern right here, very popular, been around for quite some time. And after we get done looking at some of these colors, what we'll do is we're going to take a look through 50 years of Bass Pro catalogs to kind of show you the progression of the torpedo. And how do you know it's a torpedo? Well, here we go. Right here on the bottom of every torpedo, there's probably a little bit of a glare on this chrome one right here, but it says Heddon Tiny Torpedo. So that's what you know what you're getting into. And that's what I like about Heddon, is they make sure to label each lure so you know what you got. This one right here, the see-through, probably one of my favorite ones. Absolutely love this. Always been a successful fish catcher for me. I like this, just very cool. On the bottom, you can see a lot better on this one right here, but it says Heddon Tiny Torpedo. Fantastic, love that one. Here's a little, well, we got a couple of them stuck together here. Let's see if we can get this undone. All right, so we've got a little baby bass pattern right here. Very nice. And what's great about these tiny torpedoes is there's no shortage of colors and patterns. Very cool. You've got this nice kind of craw with black fleck on it. Very cool. This is probably sometime in the, I would say, late 80s, early 90s they came up with these kind of printed on lifelike patterns right here. But you can see this is a little bit different. So they have kind of the cursive tiny torpedo on there. And then on this other side, it says Heddon. And we'll have to look in these Bass Pro catalogs to find out when this one came out. I would guess sometime, probably around the same time that this came out. Maybe even earlier, maybe, you know, sometime in the mid-late 80s. But pretty neat. And then another one of my favorite colors right here, you got the kind of incandescent see-through right here with the sparkle, and you almost got the shad pattern on the back with the black eye. I mean, this is just, they threw everything at the wall on this one. This is just the ultimate color pattern. But you know what? When those fish go for it, they're not going to see all this stuff up top. This is really for the fishermen, I think, in my opinion. They're just seeing something scoot through the water really quick with this prop going. And it really, really works. I mean, you wouldn't think so with how small it is. But man, this thing really, it kicks up a little bit of water. We'll have to show you that here in just a little bit as well, too. But you can see just a pretty good example of some different colors of the tiny torpedo here. So if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I love breaking out the old school Bass Pro catalogs to take a look at these lures. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have any old school Heddon catalogs, but I like the Bass Pro a little better. And the reason I like that is because you get to see the color chart. You also get to see kind of the trends throughout the years, and then also the inflation on the prices. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into this 1975 Bass Pro catalog. And I already got these pre-marked just for the sake of time, so we're not here for the next 6 hours looking at these. But as we can see right here, we've got the tiny torpedo for $1.65. I mean, how about that? What a heck of a deal. Let's go ahead and move my thumb here so you can see this. But you've got the frog pattern there. You've got the incandescent see-through that I've shown you before. The white body with the silver scale and red eye. So, you know, even this one that they were making in 1990, heck, I think they still make this color today. They were making that back in 1975. Along with this see-through one that you can see right here. And that's just color C for clear. And then you've got the bullfrog. So you got the BF. You get to see that. So there you go. This is for 1975. All right, we're gonna move over to 1977. And I'm not going to go through every year because some of these actually have the same advertising year by year. So if there's any changes, I would pick these out. And so, for example, we see right here, not a whole lot of change. The color chart's exactly the same, but what we do see is a little bit of inflation here. We got $1.99 now. So now we've gone up, you know, 30 cents. So we're starting to see that a little bit, and you'll notice that more as we progress throughout the years. So this is for 1977. Same ad, just a little more expensive. Okay, moving on to the next year in 1978. First off, gotta love this cover right here, the airbrush. Yes, super 70s. Gotta love that. But we've got a new advertising look. Also, we've got a little bit different kind of font right here with some new kind of color patterns going for the late 70s. But we can see we've got some new color patterns. Look at the crawfish right there. Let's see if I can get that without the glare. I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying to do this without glare. We've got some of the same old favorites. You got the bullfrog, you got the white minnow. But look at this chartreuse minnow now. So we see kind of the same thing with this is kind of a hyper-colored orange, fluorescent orange with a chartreuse. And then you also have the crawfish. But I apologize. I am really trying to get that glare out of there. But you get the idea. We're still at $1.99. We've got some new colors. and I'll try to figure out the lighting. But there you go. There you go for 1978. That's what we've got going on. All right, moving on to 1980. And here's where we're going to find something that's a little bit different here. We start to see kind of the look of the lifelike, or what they call the natural look. So this one's the natural frog right here. We'll try to get this one so you can see it a little bit better. But very cool looking lure. And you'll notice that is kind of a trend, and that's what I love about these old catalogs. You get to see these trends from back in the day. And the late 70s, early 80s, that natural look was kind of all the rage. And so you even see that one right here. So natural perch, you see that kind of color coming out. And so right here, we've got, this is a natural perch color. Now I said just a second ago, I thought this one was probably from the late 80s, and I'll show you why I think that here in a little bit. But obviously you see this color pattern came out in the early 80s, well, in 1980 itself right here. But still very cool. You kind of got that screen printed look of a natural, either a fish or a frog or whatever else out in the wild. Just a very cool look right here. So that is for 1980. All right, moving up a couple years to 1982. And you're going to think, whoa, all right, that's the exact same one we just looked at. Well, it is, except for the price. We start to see a little bit more of inflation going on here. So now we're at $258. It was $219 back in 1980, and so it's $258 today. So we can see the lures are jumping up a little bit in price, but still, we got the same look though. And as you can see, that early 80s natural slash, realistic pattern or whatever is still obviously a very popular trend for this time. All right, now moving on to 1984. Price is all the same, no real thrills. We have a new page layout here for Bass Pro Shop, but we can still see it's, the usual suspects here. We've got the clear baby bass, the natural frog, the chrome, the original bullfrog, all right there. I apologize for the glare, but there you have it. So this is for 1984. Now, if you remember in the 1984, what was the price? It was $2.58, if you noticed that. Well, let's go over 1985. Boom! Sticker shock right here. Now we're getting up to $3.19 for these. But the same page layout, same lure, nothing's changed. Just obviously probably trying to keep up with the times, but there you go. It looks like if you buy 3 or more, you get them for $287, which is still more than what the price was the year before. But, such is life. I think we're all used to inflation, even especially right now. So there you go, folks. There it is for 1985. All right, moving through the 80s to 1988. And here we've got kind of a new advancement for the tiny torpedo, and that's this right here. And it wasn't just the tiny torpedo. There's other lures that have this, and what's called the G finish. And if you see right here, new for 1988, and let's see if I can get this a little up close for y'all so you can see it. But essentially what the G finish is, it just kind of gave a reflective light that was supposed to be a little bit easier for the fish to see. So you see there's a couple different ones right there in kind of that chrome color. But very nice. You got a blue shad and a shad, but that is the G finish. And then if we just move over a couple pages, we've got the torpedo lineup right here. And as we see here in 1988, there's another change. And you can see we've got the tiny torpedo and the baby torpedo. So the tiny torpedo obviously is the 1 7/8, and so the baby torpedo is a 2 3/8, a larger option that's 3/8 ounce. So you have that right there. And then we also have the different colors. So here's where I was thinking this one probably came from the late 80s. Color number 56 was the perch one we just saw a little bit ago, and that's this. I'm guessing that's probably from that time frame. Could be earlier. Who knows? I don't know. But we've got other ones like you've got the brown craw pattern. You've got some really neat ones. They've got some new color patterns here, like number 66, which is a blue shiner. And then they have a 67, which is a natural frog, which I don't know why that's a new color, because that was obviously new in 1980. But the blue shiner looks like a really neat kind of color. So there you have it. 1988. That's really when we start to see some kind of innovation, if you will, for the torpedo. All right. And getting into the 90s, we once again got a slight change to the torpedo, and that is just another size. So we've got now the teeny torpedo, and that is 1.5 inches, and it's 1/8 ounce compared to the 1 7/8, and then the big guy, which is the baby torpedo, which is 2.5. But we can see there's also some variations of some new colors, like 41 right here. And what is 41? That's a rainbow trout color. Very cool. Let's see if I can get that. You can see that a little bit better. But you can get a little better perspective. Apologize for the glare, folks, but if I don't have the light on, then you really can't see anything. Then fast forwarding even more so to today. And this is the 2024 Bass Pro Master Catalog right here. And what do we see? Still today, we've got the torpedo, but woohoo! Certainly a little different price. We see right here, $6.49 for a torpedo, folks. Whoa! Wow, wow, wee woo, that is a price. I gotta tell you, folks, if I was you and you want to fish something like that, I highly suggest going to an estate sale or garage sale and look for these. These are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. These are in almost every single tackle box that I run across, and I don't think I've ever spent over $1 for one of these. You know, and they're super crazy effective. Go on eBay. Even if you don't have a garage sale or anything that's close by, eBay has these. They're everywhere, and they're cheap. And I'll tell you what, this one that's 40 years old is going to work just as good. I mean, look at this. Exact same lure. That one for $1 is going to work exactly the same as this one for $6.49. Plus, it's vintage, so, you know, you got that cool factor going for you. Well, I think it's time to get this little puppy on the water. And let me tell you real quick, too, if you're new to fishing or new to topwater fishing, the torpedo is the way to go. The little downsized profile of this is perfect for everything. Bass, bluegill. Heck, this thing will catch, you know, catfish and crappie. You name it, this thing will literally catch it all. So it's a fantastic gateway topwater, if you will, to get into other topwaters like your whopper ploppers, your pencil baits, buzz baits, things like that. And anybody can fish it. It's super easy to use. And let me just give you a little word of caution. If you are going to buy it used online or from a garage sale or whatever else, make sure that the prop is in good shape. Sometimes these old props can get stuck, but this one's ready to rock and roll. So I think without further ado, let's throw this puppy in and go find a bass. Oh, one more thing to add. When fishing these, make sure you use spinning tackle. It's made for spinning. Do not use bait caster. These are downsized. And a light retrieval. Just an easy retrieval. No need to be in a rush. Let the prop do the work, and the bass will do the rest. So I got to show you, this thing just drives panfish absolutely wild. I mean, look at this. Boom, they're just everywhere. Following it. Stop it. I mean, obviously not what we're going for, but you can tell they like it. See, folks, just like that, there you have it. Torpedo does it. So that's going to do it for this episode of Angling Archaeology, where we unearth the good old days. I want to thank you all for watching, liking, subscribing. And hey, if you haven't done so already, please do like and subscribe. And if it's late summer, early fall, pick yourself up a torpedo. Bombs away. I'm going to let this guy go. Till next time, folks, we'll see you on the water. Hopefully we'll see him too. Thanks for watching Angling Archaeology, where we unearth the good old days. Don't forget to like and subscribe.